All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, class. We are being recorded live right now. If you don't want your personal conversations to be aired on YouTube, it would be a good idea to pause them for lunch. Okay. But your faces, all of that is not going to be publicized. I am projecting exactly what is being filmed on YouTube, and you are clearly in the clear. So, just I can't control voices. There we go. So in today's episode, hold on. Hello everyone, and welcome to a Create with Kiely YouTube tutorial video. In this video, we are going to be painting with watercolors, and we are going to be looking at how to paint trees and some nice shrubbery. So this will help you with your culminating activity in the AVI 2.0 course, the grade 10 culminating activity, in which you go look at architecture that has been inspired by ancient Greek and Roman influences. So in order to be prepared for this tutorial video, you are going to need watercolor paints, a little paint, some water, and at least 2 paint brushes. I like a wide flathead and a smaller round brush for details. And if you want, you can have something in between. It's up to you. Now, I like even though it's just in my sketchbook and this isn't going to be marked and this is a safe place to practice, I like to make my stuff look pretty. So you're going to need a little bit of masking tape or painter's tape. And we're going to mark out a box or rectangle, it really doesn't matter, in our sketchbooks. You don't want to lay the tape on directly off the roll onto the paper. What you should do before you apply the tape directly to the paper is kind of press it onto some kind of fabric. I have this nice little school-themed shawl here that's nice and fibery. Is that a word? Fibery. And I'm just going to take my tape and press it onto the fiber, and it's going to pick up the lint, which works, double bonus. And when I peel it off later, when I'm done my painting, fingers crossed, it won't tear the paper. So do that. 4 sides. The measurements of this rectangle / square doesn't matter. It really doesn't. If you want to go big, go big. If you want to go small, don't go too small. Okay, try to go a little bigger than a postage stamp. What's a postage stamp? That's how snail mail used to work. Anyways. Some kids were asking, should we go landscape or portrait? Again, that doesn't really matter either. We're just going to make this imaginary scene work for what we've got. If you have slipped into any kind of device, you are not doing what's expected of you in the classroom in this lesson right now. So if you are plugged in, say with music, now is not really the time. And I gently encourage you to get with the program. Nice. Oh, this is great. Got a new little recording system here with my webcam. I hope this works well for you at home and that your image is clean and clear. We'll find out. I still have this shadow. Nothing's easy. Okay, let's see how this works out. So we discovered in the previous video that sketchbook paper isn't so hot if we get it too wet. So when we pre-moisten this, Do it really, really more dry than wet. Okay? You don't want your paper to become saturated with water. I myself struggled with just how overly wet the paper got. And then it wasn't so fun to work with. And because we're making this up and we're not drawing from a particular picture, a particular thing, we're not even bothering with an underdrawing. We're jumping right into this today, kids, because why not? Why not? All right. We're going to start with the background. And in our imaginary little wonderful world, we've got a blue sky. And I'm going to do my color swatches up here. See it on the base there? No, you're going to have to figure it out. Oh, fine, yeah. Okay, I want my blue to be fairly watery. I'm going to start at the top and just do a happy little blue sky. I should be wearing my Bob Ross wig for this. I'm going to channel the great Bob Ross. Now, ideally on watercolor paper, where it's manufactured to receive all this abuse, this aquatic abuse, it would react a lot better. And I'm really disappointed. So this is bad how the paper's kind of pilling. You can just see it. There's the focus. So what are you going to do? It's not getting marked. It's just about learning. And I'm going to tell you it's going to work a heck of a lot better on the real paper. All right. So while things are still wet, I'm going to move to a different brush. I'd say like a medium. I'm going to mix a green, but let's not do a green that's terribly dark. Let's have some yellow in this green. So my palette's a bit messy, but it'll allow for a bit more natural color. So I'm going to bring some green over here, and I'm going to lighten it with some yellow. So it's a brighter green. And this is going to be the base color, the lightest color. And in watercolors, and I'm testing it out, always test out your colors before applying them. So I'm going for something, a yellowy green. You can always work darkness into your painting, but it's next to impossible to pull the darkness back out and bring it to the light. Okay, so I'm going to put my tree on. Remember the rule of thirds? So if I divided my painting into thirds without actually drawing it, I'm just eyeballing these. So there'd be imaginary line here, an imaginary line here, and so on and so forth. If I broke it into the rule of thirds, I'm going to put my tree over here, not quite touching the top of the page. Don't let it run off. Just messy, just random. Just let it go. Whatever this tree. Here we go. It's all good. This is going to be the tree, and I'm going to put a shrub over here. So I want my shrubbery to be a little bit more darker of a green. It doesn't have as much light coming through it. It's got more of a piney feel to it. So to desaturate the green, I'm going to use the opposite color on the color wheel. It's contrasting color or it's complementary color, whether they're getting along or if they're enemies. So red is the contrasting or complementary color to green. I'm going to put the red in there, and it has an immediate effect of desaturating the green, making it a lot less brighter, a lot less vibrant. I'm going to keep it there. I like that. So my shrub, I'm going to put on the other, whatchamacallit, rule of thirds line. Yeah. And then let's put some ground. Dry brush. So the dry brush technique is your brush is sort of dry and you can see the bristle marks. Just brush that on along the base, right over the tape. It's no biggie. Again, this is just for practice sake. We're not going for epic marks, level 4 marks. How am I going for speed? Too fast? Sort of? Yeah, sort of, kind of. That's okay. I like your feedback. Remember, I'm here for the real life students in the classroom, but the kids who are absent or need extra activities, this is for you as well. So I've been very wishy-washy with my application, but not crossing the line where it bleeds through. See that? Like this sketchbook. Just giving you guys a few seconds to catch up. I can see your paintbrush is all madly. Okay, doesn't hurt to let things dry out a little bit too. All right, so trees, beautiful things. Sometimes they let the light through, sometimes they don't. They all have, like everything we do, there's light and darkness. So I've mixed some more yellow green together because I ran out. And I'm going to imagine, like I usually do, that the light source is coming from the top right. So everything across these objects are going to be lit, and everything over here is going to be in shadows. That's my crescent moon right there. Okay. Just so you understand where I'm going. I'm going to press some of this green in, but I'm not going to entirely cover my tree. And I'm even going to let a couple of these leaves just float off the tree entirely. Not the whole thing, just a few random bits. I'm just pressing it on. I'm letting the round brush tip just naturally make that green, leafy kind of texture, visual texture, sorry. I don't want to cover the entire spot. I want to show that texture. Then with a darker green, so we're going to work in the shadows. I like to bounce ping pong from light to dark. I'm taking a desaturated green. How do I get that? I take the opposite color on the color wheel, which is red. Throw some of that down. And hopefully it'll bleed a little, like letting the natural beauty of watercolor happen on its own. putting it on the bottom. I'm imagining that there's sections to this tree. I don't want it one solid color of green. And then I'm going to go in where maybe I see that my randomness created some darker areas. And I'm just going to push that a little further with the darker value green, the desaturated green. But not the whole thing. I'm still letting the light shine. Looks very yellow in the video. But in real life, it's quite green. Oh. Maybe throw some of those random leaves poking out. And again, the reason that I put the darker stuff over here is because the cast shadows are down here. So everything's kind of working at a diagonal. Just throw a few little bits here and there. The nice thing about painting things from nature is that they don't follow the rules all the time, geometric rules, and you can be free with it. Throw in a few more textures. For the finer details, I'll go for a finer brush. Again, allowing myself to accept whatever random thing happens with the bleeding effect. So I have a bit of a puddle here because these sketchbooks are awesome. There we go. I don't want to work it too much because it's starting to go through the page. If your paper's starting to look like an old pilly sweater, all these little bumps, and the fiber of the paper is literally being lifted up and it's looking gross, you have too much water and you are rubbing there's too much friction with the paintbrush on the paper. So you're literally pulling up the fibers of the page. If you keep going, you're going to burn a hole right through the thing, like the knees of your jeans, little kids' jeans. Okay. So while that's drying, I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to let it do its thing. I've got stuff to work on over here. So we have our shrubbery. Woo. It is a more desaturated, piney kind of green. So I've got lots of red in there, challenging the green, toning it down, color swatch, everything. Don't just apply your paint haphazardly onto your paper. Get into the habit of testing it before applying it. Please. It's a great habit. You can't not do it. Okay? So always test before applying. And with this guy, I don't know, what are we going to do? I want more spiky kind of a texture to it because I don't know what species of shrubbery this is. We are the knights that say me, and we want shrubbery. What else did they want? Who knows? So with that first layer, it allows me to go back in and add the textures and allow the light or the bottom layer to show through. Now, I don't have a visual reference. I really am just kind of winging it here. When you do your culminating assignments, obviously you're going to be working off visual references. And you have more specific spots and textures. And all I can say is study them. Find the base color. What is the color that's in there in the back? Sorry, no, we're going to work with the lightest. What's the lightest color of that shrub, of that tree, of that garden? Start with that. Get that light color and then build up. It's all about layers and patience. Patiently wait for one area to dry, go work somewhere else. And then come back. So I like to ping pong between different objects in a painting, different areas. Let's go darker, a lot more red. Maybe even if we're getting into shadows, you can start introducing some blue to cool it down. But I have not touched my black paint in this whole journey, okay? And I don't want you to either. My black is dry. My white is dry. I'm not touching those. I'm just letting the white of the page show through. Or if I want to get really dark, I just mix the 3 primaries. You can do so much with them and keep it looking natural. Once you add in black, it makes it so cold. And that is something nature really isn't. Well, unless you're in the art. Okay. But so I'm going to throw, oops, that's not dark enough. If you want your colors to be more powerful, you need to put more pigment on your brush. If it's too wishy-washy, it's letting, it's too transparent. It's not powerful enough. So just load your brush up with more color. If your colors aren't vibrant, there we go. That's a little bit stronger. And test it out. So down underneath the bush, it's quite dark. Still keeping that texture pattern going. Maybe throw some more dark areas. This is really some random shadows under here as I move up. But I don't want to cover the whole thing. I don't want the whole thing to become like black or one solid color. I can't change, I can't zoom. So I'm letting that first layer still peek through. And it's very similar to illustration pens when you're doing hatching and cross hatching and stippling. You're just gently putting in marks that build up the form of the object. So take your nose away from your page every once in a while, pull back and take a look at it as a whole. I'm taking that shadow color that I had used, and let's just pull it over to the side and give our shrubbery some distance, depth, and perspective. I'm going to dry brush that. As I fade it out, I've dried my brush of moisture, and I'm just letting the fibers of the page, the bristles of the brush, just do their thing. And it'll give you some texture. There we go. It's not horrible. So you can self-assess as you paint. Do I have liquid puddles on my page? Yes? Then you're applying too much water. Take a paper towel or a Kleenex and try to sop up the lakes that you've created. Okay. Are my colors on my page too wishy-washy? Everything, no matter how many layers I apply, it's still really wishy-washy and I can't see, like it's not vibrant yet. Yes, then you need to wake your paints up by adding water to them and rubbing them awake. Shampoo them like you rub your eyes in the morning and you wake them up. Okay? That will give you a more saturated color. But if it's all just real soft and puddly and just going into the wet, like this blue here, see that's a puddle of blue. I got a really wet brush, then it's going to be really washy when I paint with it. Okay? I'll do it again with the yellow. I woke up that yellow. My brush has some water, but it's not making a puddle's worth. And I'm really shampooing that, loaded it up with pigment, and it will put a lot more of a color, a lot more pigment on the page. So if your colors are wishy-washy, wake your colors up. If your colors are completely wrong, remember to test them before applying them. Okay, have I bought enough time for you guys to catch up? Oh, the silence in the room. Can I have thumbs up if you're with me? Are you all right? Yeah, yeah, yep. Okay, beauty. So let's go back to the tree. We're gonna let the shrubbery just sit there and settle in with its existence and see if it's okay. We'll check in on it later. Now, my self-evaluation, I feel my tree's a little too wishy-washy over here. It's even still damp. I don't like this paper. You can see this? That's a sign that my paper's oversaturated. And the fact that it's starting to wet the next page, it's all just a little too wet. Ideally, we'd pull out the blow dryer and just dry this stuff up, but we don't have that time. So I'm not going to let things get too wet, but I want to saturate my color a little bit more. Saturate means my color's a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more bright and happy, like a fresh maple tree, like the trees are looking like right now. So this paint isn't very wet. And I'm just going to follow that texture and build it up a little bit more. Following that pattern that I was using, just letting those trees do its thing. But I'm not covering it all. Oh, please. There you go, just keep dabbing at it. Now let's try thyme, for the tree trunk. Take your red, take your green, and take some blue. And there you got brown. Test your color out. Make sure it's a shade of brown that you feel works for your tree. And again, don't let it be too wishy-washy because period. And I'm going to start my tree trunk kind of up here, down the center. Just going to not worry about very straight lines. Have it splay out at the bottom. And in order to cover what I have on there already, my paint has to be fairly thick on the brush. And then maybe the branch will peek out over here. Maybe you can see the branches through the holes here. Just sporadically, randomly put some of the branches. But remember, they get thinner as they go up. So don't put big old thick branches up at the very top. Nothing too straight. And as that first layer dried, I'm going to throw some texture on the bark. That's not too bad. Now you see the difference between this tree. It has no shadow, no cast shadow coming off of it, but the shrub does. This shrub is more believable in this alternate universe, in this little world that I've created, because it has a shadow. It's existing. It's not floating. This tree feels like it's just kind of floating there. So we have to ground the tree. We got to put its roots in the ground. We need to give it a cast shadow. So I'm going to take that same color that I used for the shadow, but this time I want it to be washy, testing out up on my color swatch, the adjacent page. And it has to go in the same direction. It would not make any sense if I threw the tree shadow off in that direction, right? Has to go in the same direction as the other one. So my trees there, nice little spot to curl up and read a book. And then again, you can use water or the dry brush technique to kind of let it fade out. It's not too stark. It's just a nice day. It's not too bad. This painting, it's okay. It's a little boring. Let's throw a bird in here. Let's get a little crazy. What do we want? From the audience, there's a request from the audience. They don't want a bird, they want a kitty. So, right? Did I guess that right? All right. So, thanks to the amazing drama skills, we're going to draw a cat who is enjoying this scene. I'm going to paint my cat because there is no better cat in the whole wide world. Fight me. He is, I don't know. He is Calvin. Oh boy. I need a visual reference for this one. I love the challenge. Hold on. Just give me a second. There he is. I don't want to risk doing a bad job on this. He will forever judge me. I will pause and edit this part of the video. Oh, stop trying so hard. I can't. All right. There. All right. Oh, that's the midway point. There he is. All right. Something small. The cat's not going to be bigger than, like, I don't know, down here. Really tiny, okay? Because, like, let's make sure that proportion makes sense. So my cat is brownish, brown. He tells me that all the time. What color are you? Brown. Okay. If it's too green, add a little bit more red and yellow. Again, it's those primary colors. They're the best ones to work with. All right. Challenge accepted. No. All right. Here we go. First layer. It's very wet. I'm just doing that first layer. He's really small. You guys, it's almost impossible for you to see too. When I edit this video, maybe I'll zoom in if I ever get time to edit. So funny. If you don't want to do a cat, you can do a bird. You can do a dog. You can do whatever you want. You can do free choice. Okay? Oh my gosh, she's going to kill me. So even though I'm painting a cat and not a tree or shrubbery, and I'm totally off the main topic and purpose of this video, which I am acknowledging, I still started with the base layer. The layer of color that I felt was the main layer of the thing that I'm going to paint. Then I'm building up the other colors around it so that even if I don't paint consistently or I don't, because I want to do textures, it will still show through that base layer. It gives me creative wiggle room. There you go. It's so tiny. If you just did a couple dots for a bird, I was going to do a blue jay or a cardinal, and I was wiffle-waffling between blue or red, but I love that. I love that about my students. They always push me to do better. He's sitting like such a sweet little gentleman. He's probably waiting for my husband to drop some cheese down on the floor for him. Oh, Jesus. Well, that's for the blooper reel. Wow. Thank you. All right. Just pink nose. All right, my cat doesn't exist in this little world because it's missing something important. Those cast shadows. Oof, this is tiny. So I'm gonna throw something together. Test it out before applying it. Make sure that my haphazard throwing together works. And making sure that I follow consistently what I've done with the other ones. Finger painting's great. Go back as things dry. You can say, well, my shadow of my tree's kind of faded into the, isn't noticeable anymore. And then I just splattered everything. So love it. There you go. He's sitting in the shade. Looks slightly evil. That's all right. You know what? I defy you, student, random student, and I'm going to put a bird up in the tree because that's what the cat's looking at. Now we've got an illustration going because there's a little story. I'm going to go with the blue jay because that's what I want to do. So just a little bird sitting here, and the cat's having cat thoughts about this blue jay, and the blue jay's probably making a heck of a lot of noise, alerting everybody else that there's a cat in the neighborhood. So I'm putting a little bird up in the corner of the tree, and we have a story now and not just some boring painting. And oh my gosh, I am going to go into the black. Gasp. Everyone gasp dramatically. There we go. Love you guys. All right. Just for those blue jay marks. And they're, I'm going to wait for that to dry a bit more. There we go. So I can pick at that blue jay. I'm going, because I have no patience, I want to peel this off. Peel off the tape because I feel like the blue jay only needs a few more swashes of color, but I can't do it because it's wet. Everything else is peelable. So I'm going to peel the tape off at a 90-degree angle from itself. So if the tape's going like this, 90 degrees would be straight down. You can't see any of what I just gestured. 90 degrees, straight down. And that might increase your chances of not tearing your paper. Though nothing in this life is guaranteed. 90 degrees. And when I self-assess, there's one glaring thing that I noticed I was not careful about. That was painting inside the tape. Went right past it. Oh well. When I take a picture of this, I'll cut out all that spot. Yay. Not too shabby. I hope you enjoyed this watercolor tutorial on how to paint trees and shrubbery with a little extra cat to the mix. Good luck with your culminating activities and good luck with your watercolor paintings. And remember, my friends, just have a good time. Be creative. Until next time.